of the season, featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard. All team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It's put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions is live on SportsGrid on a Wednesday night. Kevin Walsh with you live from the Decisions desk. We were just in the war room making deals. It's October 1st. Fantasy teams are getting blown up. Big time trades are happening. If you want to know what we did, I may let you in on it. I may. Caveat, though, I think 2 of the 3 teams involved in the deal still trying to wheel and deal. On our show tonight, of course, we are locked in on the baseball postseason. 2 games done, 2 more to go. 1 live right now with the Yankees up 2-0 on the Boston Red Sox. And the story of this series so far, which is not a good thing, though not all bad, are the decisions of Aaron Boone. Yesterday, not playing Jazz Chisholm, Ben Rice, pulling Max Fried. Today, playing Ben Rice, who hits a 2-run home run in the first inning of this baseball game. By the way, low-scoring postseason, which is still holding. We are unders in nearly every one of these games so far. Yurfie to start today's slate, which started in Cleveland. The Guardians beating the Tigers 6-1 with a huge 8th inning where they took the lead and then just piled on top and top and top of that lead. A 1-1 game was 6-1 at the final. And then a 3-0 shutout for the San Diego Padres. The Cubs cannot plate even one. Dylan Cease not given a lot of breathing room by the Padres in that game. And while I understand it's do or die, win or go home, did you tax your bullpen a little unnecessarily in this one? 45 pitches between Miller and Suarez. Both had to go more than an inning. I understand for San Diego there's no tomorrow, but Dylan Cease was pitching well. 69 pitches for someone who was routinely throwing 100-plus in starts heading into the postseason. Just one to remember. Of course, we still have Dodgers-Reds to come. The one game yesterday that lit it up, a 10-5 final for the Dodgers against Cincy. The story of that game, not 1, but 2. Shohei Ohtani home runs, 3 RBI as he went 2 for 5 from the dish in that game. And Teoscar Hernandez joined into the party with 2 home runs of his own. Yamamoto gets the baseball looking to handle business against the Reds. The one worry for the Dodgers would be Blake Snell was brilliant. The bullpen gave up all 5 of those runs, and it's the Dodgers bullpen that gets a lot of eyes put on it, I feel, by those who are betting against them or saying it's not their year. Even the Dodger faithful are worried about that pen. It didn't quell those concerns in that opening game. We're going to talk more Major League Baseball, not just throughout this show, but within 5 minutes, we got Craig Mish to join us here, which I'm very excited about. Of course, nobody knows the league like Craig Mish. We'll also get some insight, though, NFL-wise with Craig, because there's a lot happening in the National Football League. It starts tomorrow on a Thursday night with a huge change in spread. Early in the week, we open at 3.5, Rams hosting the Niners. We sit here on a Wednesday evening with that spread up to 7.5, depending on where you are looking. Why? That injury report for the Niners just won't stop adding names. Brock Purdy out again, this time joined by Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings. For the Niners, they enter this week actually via tiebreakers atop the division. But they are tied with 2 other 3-1 football teams in Seattle and L.A. They are favored to lose to L.A. Seattle's favored to win. Guess what? Arizona, the bottom team at 2-2, a touchdown plus favorite this week against Tennessee. For the Niners, that 3-0 start was fantastic, but it's now feeling more so like it was the only chance at survival for this team. Their bye week is week 14. This team desperately needed one of those early buys. They did not get it. How do we bet this game, though, now that it'll be Mac Jones, Christian McCaffrey, and who else? That becomes the question in this one with a Rams team that could easily be 4-0 if not for the Philadelphia Eagles pulling off that massive comeback in week number 3. Not the only bit of NFL news that we are tracking here on a Wednesday night, but it has now been fully confirmed. It's going to be Dillon Gabriel getting the start for the Cleveland Browns overseas against the Minnesota Vikings. One book is, and let me see if this is still the case here, because sometimes we know that these things don't stay true. One book is a full point taller than the rest. Everywhere else is sitting 3.5 right now with the Vikings as the favorite. One book is at 4.5. And it's DK, which is pretty interesting, right? That's it's a big time book. Every other book's at 3.5 minus 110. They're at 4.5. You get the plus 4.5 plus at minus 115. Here's the thing: I agree with the DK side of it more. I don't think Dillon Gabriel steps in first start of his career against this Minnesota Vikings defense and is likely to be successful. I don't. Now total reflects it: 35.5, 36.5 in the market. Gabriel's up against it. For the Cleveland Browns, the story, though, entering into this game incredibly will not just be the play of Dillon Gabriel, but every week it'll be about what it means for Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders in the news again with the decision, was asked about not being moved up to QB2, which I actually think is fine. If I were the Browns organization, just quickly on this, I don't want Shedeur's first action to be, oh no, our starter got injured, go run out there. I'd rather that be Flacco. You want Shedeur to get full prep going into whatever his first game is going to be. But Shedeur, off-scrutinized, was asked about the week 3 or the QB3 situation, didn't speak. He mimed. You might think that's not really what happened. It's legitimately what happened. You can find the video. It was an odd one. And I think it's just going to add to what is going to be a season full of losses and oddness right now in Cleveland. We also continue to track the line movement in Baltimore. Ravens-Texans. Lamar Jackson still believed to be missing this game, and the point spread reflects it as the Ravens are a home dog in this game. Can't overstate it. A Ravens team that has already been booked as favorites this year in Kansas City and in Buffalo, now a home dog. You see what happens when you do not have Lamar Jackson out there, one to track. A quick reminder as well, the WNBA Finals were set last night. Vegas in overtime gets the job done against the Indiana Fever. The overtime period costly for some Fever backers. They end up seeing a 9-point win for the Aces, which largely covers any and all spreads. Aja Wilson with a dominant 35-point effort. Game number 1 of those finals is Friday night. Vegas a favorite over the Phoenix Mercury in Game 1. And the series overall, the first ever 7-game series in the history of the WNBA Finals. Now, we are going to talk more to Craig Mish in just a couple of moments here on SportsGrid. Baseball postseason, football action. But when we get back, it is possible that we see a change in score. The Red Sox are threatening. The Yankees are leading. But for now, we will update you throughout our show tonight. We're live on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions. We'll be right back.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Ashton Genty, between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions live on SportsGrid. We also have a live game between the Red Sox and the Yankees. The third inning, or the top of the third inning, just came to a close, but damage done by Boston. 2-2 now in this baseball game. A big ground ball there that led to a double play gets Rodon out of a jam. We're going to talk more Major League Baseball with, of course, Craig Mish, Major League Baseball insider, of course, also the host here of Newswire on SportsGrid. Was able to join Craig this morning, which was great. So a little 1-for-1 here, I guess, Craig. I think, although I would be far more in the hole to you than 1-for-1 would suggest. How are we feeling, though? Another long day of Major League Baseball action.
Yeah, so Kevin, first of all, thanks for coming on the show. You enlightened me about some topics and games that I never would have been able to handicap or discuss ever, and some great conversations. So thank you so much for coming on and doing that. And because I can't do that on my own on some of these topics, but it's just the truth. What happens is, Kevin, you get married, you have kids. The first kid, you give up NBA. The second kid, you give up NHL. And then you're down to Major League Baseball and the NFL. I got college football too, so I got that too. But I digress. So I did have a chance to see the ending of Cleveland play Detroit. I saw Rocchio go deep. I saw him pull that ball to right field, hit that home run, put them up 6-1. So that puts Cleveland in the catbird seat now with one more game to go and playing at home. You would assume they'll be a light favorite tomorrow, but we'll see. And yeah, I mean, look, the narrative on that second game was that if the Padres go up, that they're going to win because they have such a strong bullpen. And so I think that is definitely true. But from a betting perspective, I would tell you if they need to use Mason Miller again tomorrow, I think I'm going to be fading the Padres in game 1 of the NLDS because I don't. Is he going to pitch every single game in the postseason? I'm not sure that he will. How many times can they let him throw 104 over the course of 1 week? They have to play this weekend. But this is what I love. 2 games, Kevin. 2 game 3s tomorrow. We'll see if the Yankees win to make it an even 3-for-3 tonight.
Yeah, it is a great start. It's a great run out. You're just on, the whole way. I think you're right on it with the Mason Miller point, though. As someone who played Cease to lead the day in strikeouts, maybe a bit salty that he was removed at 69 pitches, but you ended up putting 45 pitches on Suarez and Miller.
Right.
There's a part of me that feels like that's unnecessary, but I understand it's a do or die situation. So it's the push and pull of it all, Craig, and that's where we end up once again. I'm curious of between San Diego and Chicago, I think what's so interesting is with respect to the Brewers, they will feel very live in that series, right? I think it's possible that they would actually be shorter dogs than even the Dodgers, assuming they advance to Cincinnati just due to opponent. Do you find one to be particularly more threatening to Milwaukee when it comes to the Cubs or Padres?
Well, I think it would be the Padres, but again, if they're going to just keep using their bullpen guys and do it again tomorrow, then that would put them in a very tough spot in game 1 and game 2. So I'm going to assume tomorrow is Thursday, and I believe that the NLDS starts up this weekend, maybe Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to worry about usage in the postseason, but I think for people like us who follow it very closely to use their 8th or 9th inning guy, however you want to say, with Suarez and Miller, I think that they would probably try and hang on and say to themselves, all right, look, we got to go to Milwaukee anyway for games 1 and game 2. At some point, we have to hit to win. I think the Padres are probably going to say that to themselves. They scored, what, is it 4 runs in 2 games or just 3? I forget how many they scored. Yeah, so look, the bats are going to have to wake up for them. So their bullpen is the great equalizer, I think, amongst the teams. And so if you assume that there's a lot of close games like they've been playing, then I think the Padres would be a bigger threat than the Cubs, because if the game is close and you turn it over to those 2 guys, they have a good chance to win.
Yeah, I also, you mentioned the low-scoring nature. It feels so immediately jarring to see how hard it is to score already in these games.
Yeah.
There was one book, Craig, offering each team for a run, minus 115. And if you think about it, you're like, there's 8 teams. They're all the best teams. 1 run. You didn't even make it to the 3rd game. You didn't even make it to game 3.
Yeah. Yeah, look, this is sort of postseason baseball, but I'm a little astounded like you are. Now, there is, again, 15 runs scored last night between the Reds and the Dodgers. 4 runs already. If you have the over in tonight's game, you're feeling like you're going to win that between the Yankees and Red Sox. I would assume 7.5 was the total there. So maybe some of the games will be higher scoring, but it doesn't appear to me, Kevin, like Detroit or Cleveland has 10 runs in them tomorrow. I don't think. And it doesn't appear to me that the Cubs or Padres have 5 runs in them tomorrow either. So it just will come down to these final 2 series.
It's interesting because we hear all the time, Craig, the notion of pitching wins in the postseason. I'm not saying it's not true, but I wonder if now, bullpens are so good, it feels like everybody has an ace. Do you have a situation where it's the offense, right? Who can actually score? And that's what made the Dodgers' 10 runs so impressive. And of course, Ohtani sets that tone and has a multi-home run game. And I think, for Ohtani, who's proven everything, he's seen as one of the all-time greats already in the sport, about to have his, 3rd or 4th league MVP, in December when they give those out.
Right.
But Ohtani ended despite winning a World Series individually, statistically, was not his usual self last year. I think he batted like 240 by the end of the postseason, but it wasn't healthy. I wonder, we talk a lot about Judge getting on a run, rightfully. I wonder if Ohtani's in line for a monster postseason coming out of game number 1.
It could be. He already has 2 home runs to start with, so that's possible. I think the pitching is going to get better. I think the environment will also get more difficult. I know Ohtani's performed at the highest level, World Baseball Classic, World Series. He's going to have to go to Philadelphia. To me, that's pretty formidable, and I wonder how that will go. Yeah. I've been there for the postseason recently when Miami went. I went on that trip. It was insane. But, Arizona managed to beat Philadelphia, Kevin, in the playoffs too. So we'll just have to see how it works out. You could be right with Ohtani, but they're just so dangerous, LA, with all of those other bats too. It feels like if they give up 3-4 runs a game, they're probably going to outscore you.
Yeah, that is a really good point. I think we're going to have Craig stick around. I want to get a couple of NFL questions his way because there's a lot going on the quarterback. So I will give people an update before break. Aaron Judge.
Don't ask me about my fantasy team. Don't ask me about my fantasy team. Whatever
Craig, we just did a 3-team in-person fantasy trade. We busted out the whiteboard in this. Hey, I won't ask you about it. We will ask you about Trey Benson. NFL. That's next on SportsGrid.
Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. You're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness.
He's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where like Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so. Right. Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquil Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. You can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions with you here on a Wednesday night. We're joined by Craig Mish. You can catch Craig right here on SportsGrid every weekday morning, hosting Newswire. And Craig, though, also does host some FST here. And he said, don't ask him about Trey Benson. So I won't ask him about Trey Benson. But Craig, maybe a more difficult question. Who other than McCaffrey is supposed to catch the football tomorrow for the San Francisco 49ers?
Hey, I got news for you. Christian McCaffrey's the healthiest player in football right now. Like that, if I gave you all of these guys being out and I said Christian McCaffrey, I'm probably jinxing it, that he's not one of them, you'd be like, wait a second, that guy's healthy, but Benson is not, and Bucky Irving is not, and like the whole so now I didn't catch the full injury report, Kevin, so you'll have to catch me up. Now my son has Jawan Jennings, or Oh, not Jawan Jennings. What's the first name? I'm missing.
Ricky Pearsall also out.
No. Who's the receiver on San Francisco? Jennings. It's not Jawan.
Jawan Jennings. Yeah.
I got it right. Okay, I was thinking Jawan Johnson on New Orleans. Okay, Jawan Jennings. My son's like, what do I do? What do I do with Jawan Jennings? I'm like, here's what you do. He doesn't listen to me. I'm like, you do absolutely nothing. He's like, no, I'm going to cut him. I'm going to pick somebody up. I'm like, don't do it. Wait. So we're in the car this morning. In the afternoon, he goes, you were right. He's out. I could have just put him on IR and I wouldn't have to cut him. I'm like, listen, this is the whole league. Is Pearsall out too, though, Kevin? Did they announce that already? Is he out? He is out too?
And Purdy's out. It's up to a 7.5-point spread now,
And
Craig.
Kittle? And Kittle, too.
Yeah, Kittle's still out. He's on the IR.
So who's going to catch the ball? I don't know.
Hendrick
know.
Bourne.
Tongus, right? The tight end, backup tight end. Why are you laughing? Look at what he did last week. He's okay. You may be able to play some props on that guy. He caught a lot of balls. Now, Mac Jones, is he healthy? Because I thought I saw a press conference saying that he is not 100% healthy.
So he's starting. I don't know if that means he's healthy. Can I just put this into perspective for everyone? And the juice is a little different, but Puka Nacua, who is on pace, I believe, for 175 receptions and is the Offensive Player of the Year favorite, has a receptions prop of 7.5. So does Christian McCaffrey for tomorrow's game.
Wow, so yeah, big game for him.
Absolutely wild to see where things stack up. We're getting to that point of the year, Craig, where injuries are starting to factor in. One of the big injuries we're expecting, certainly the market is expecting, is Lamar Jackson this Sunday against the Houston Texans. I maybe people are waiting, but there's a lot of grace being given to Baltimore for a 1-3 team who is likely going to be without their MVP quarterback for this week and maybe beyond that. I feel like there should be a little more concern around Baltimore. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, but they can get into the end by winning 9 or 10 and winning the last few games, Kevin. And those games against Pittsburgh are always going to be close. It doesn't matter if it's Cooper Kupp or Cooper Rush at quarterback there. Tyler Huntley, they always play close with those two teams. It hasn't mattered. Trubisky at quarterback for Pittsburgh in the past, it's 17-14, 21-17, something like that. So concern, yes, but could I see Baltimore getting 9 wins, squeaking in, making a little bit of a run? Yeah, I could. But look, it's obviously trouble for them, but still having Lamar for the last 7 or 8 games, if that is the case, I still would think that they'll finish above 500.
Would you say, Craig, their next 2 games are at home against Houston and the Rams, and then they're on a bye? If Lamar misses both of those games, at home against Houston and the Rams, would you say 0-2, 2-0, 1-1? What you would think 1-1?
Yeah, the NFL's crazy, man. Like week to week, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. I know the Rams. You said are laying 7.5. Is it tomorrow night?
Yes.
Like I think I've come to the conclusion on these big numbers that the only team that I think that I would ever lay a big number with would be the Lions at home against whoever that, and that's it. I don't think there's any other team that can cover the big numbers. To me, when they're home is the only, because of Goff home road. We all know that stuff. But even Buffalo seems like they have warts on defense. I just don't think teams can catch up to the Lions once they've gone up 14, once they've gone up 17, because they got the edge rusher, they got Aiden Hutchinson. Beyond that, I'm not laying any 7s, roads, 8s, nothing. I'm just going to play dogs. This is what I always do.
Yeah, well, to Craig's point, Buffalo's last 2 games, they've won by 10 and 12. They are 0-2 against the number in both of those football games. So it shows that you have to be careful with these big numbers. We will talk a little bit more about some of the options for week number 5 after the break. But Craig, thank you so much.
Sure,
it's been a fun day together. We'll do it again.
Great conversation from you, man. You did a great job with me today and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Again, make sure you catch Craig on Newswire Monday through Friday. We're going to do some target player props next on SportsGrid.
Which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat dealing Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job, certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. You can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh on this Wednesday night live. It's still 2-2, Yanks Red Sox. But Brian Bayo did get pushed out of that game. So Boston into the bullpen, and Bayo didn't even, he went 2 1/3. It's a tie game. If Boston wins this, who cares? The Yankees win this game. All of a sudden now, for game number 3, the bullpen's going to be extended a little bit. So that is long-term advantage Yankees, but in the moment, not as much. Judge does have a base knock. Ben Rice had an opportunity to knock some guys in. Bellinger had a chance at a sac fly, just wasn't deep enough to bring home Trent Grisham. So we're sitting right now at 2-2 in the Yankees and the Red Sox. We're going to have Tom Vecchio join us again here in about 10 minutes' time. We'll get some baseball thoughts from him. We'll also talk about our target player props, as we always do on a Wednesday. So let's talk about some guys that we are targeting, some numbers that we're looking for here. Heading into week number 5, where is the value really going to be? And there's a lot of different ones that stood out. But I wanted to give the people something for the international game. And it'll be interesting to see how they price this one, because it may be a big favorite. You may need to get to the 2+, but Myles Garrett to record a sack is a target player prop against the Minnesota Vikings. Go through this and you see that Myles Garrett did not have himself a sack last week, and right away you guys know that sends off the bounce back alarms. But the opponent in the Minnesota Vikings jumps out big, because Carson Wentz in his 2 starts has been sacked 9 times. And Carson has this thing when he feels pressure, and if you're an Eagle fan, you know, if you just watch Wentz, he likes to duck down and he hopes he's going to emerge. And sometimes that works, and other times it ends up in a 6-sack game. But the remarkable thing about Wentz's sacked 9 times in 2 games, same amount as J.J. McCarthy. The 18 sacks allowed by Minnesota is the most in the league. And again, guys aren't minus money for multiple sacks. It's going to be a plus price, undoubtedly, for Myles to get 2. But to get 1, a full sack, it might be within range. It might be. It's something to target heading into week number 5. How about a zag under George Pickens' receiving yards? Nearly 50% of George Pickens' 300 yards came in the game against the Green Bay Packers. Overtime boosted, 8 grabs, 134 yards. Pickens was brilliant. But Now that George Pickens had this monster game without CeeDee Lamb, we know that this is going to lead to the tallest number of his season. That number was in the low 60s, I believe, mid 50s last week against the Packers. What do we expect now against the Jets? I think 80s is on the board. I really do. And that's a chance to sell high when you go from the beautiful, wonderful dome environments of Jerry World to a game in MetLife where there's some rain projected in the forecast. It doesn't also hurt the potential under that Sauce Gardner has a spotlight on him. Two different ways. Sauce is not playing great. So Sauce Gardner's in a step-up spot himself. He needs to answer the moment. He does. But the other spotlight is that Sauce Gardner keeps getting called for penalties. Penalties don't hurt you if you're playing under receiving props. Holding, DPI, you'll take it. Let the Dallas Cowboys move the football, but let's actually not allow them to pick up yardage. I think that Pickens number is going to be really tall. Could be a good shot to take it under. Let's keep it with the receivers. Let's keep it in the same game. Garrett Wilson for a touchdown. And this was one that our guy Chris brought up, and it really does stand out. Because Garrett Wilson caught his third touchdown of the season. He's now got a touchdown in 3 of 4 games. But situationally, his quarterback is still Justin Fields, who only has 2 touchdown passes this year. Are we going to see the field, Garrett Wilson to catch a touchdown at plus 115 when his quarterback is going to be booked at probably a half a touchdown pass? 1.5 at 2-1? I think you could still see a 2-1 type number on Garrett Wilson. And you're playing a Dallas defense that is just giving up touchdown after touchdown after. Romeo Doubs had 3 last week against the Dallas Cowboys. And for Garrett Wilson, one of the reasons that this stands out to me, where even if it is a short number, it still could be worth the play. For those of you who were watching the game, Jets-Dolphins on Monday night, and you were listening to the broadcast, what you were starting to hear from Louis Riddick and Dan Orlovsky on the call was mirroring what we were seeing on the field, which is just throw 5 the football. Just throw him the ball. You're going to see a big Garrett Wilson receiving yards prop, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, and I would target that to the over potentially, if not, because he really only got there late. But it felt like as the group in the booth were saying, just throw him the ball, he's going to be open, the Jets were like, let me just throw him the ball, he's going to be open. And they were giving him chances, and he was making them count. Garrett Wilson is a really intriguing player to watch, not just against Dallas, rest of season. I brought this up before. You know, the Kevin Walsh Show, we do a nice job here, I like to believe, on SportsGrid. It's a SportsGrid podcast. And Casino Chris has joined me on that show a few times. He joined me over the summer, ranking top 10 wide receivers in football. I give him credit. He wasn't just like carbon copy, here's what everyone's list looks like. And he was firm. He's like, Garrett Wilson's one of the 10 best receivers in the league. So far, with Fields as his quarterback, I don't think I'm listing 10 receivers better. Certainly healthy. I think Garrett Wilson deserves some credit, some love, and I think Chris does as well for the call. We have 2. We usually only do one of these, but we have 2 over, under. I don't know what the book does. The first is Derrick Henry against the Houston Texans. Derrick Henry, in his first game of the season, went wild. $168 against Buffalo. $169. Since that, he has gone out and had 11 for 23, 12 for 50, and 8 for 42. And I think the idea is, they're going to have to run the offense through Derrick Henry. But we've not seen Derrick Henry as a Baltimore Raven without Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson opens rushing lanes. I imagine the Houston Texans, one of the best defenses in the league, will be stack the box style here against Baltimore. So that could make things troubling. But again, what if the books drop the number too much because of the recent performances? Like, you could tell me that they're going to put this in the 90s. I might have to play it under. You could tell me they're going to drop it into the 70s, and then I might have to play it over. I am fascinated to see how the books handle King Henry here this week against the Texans. I am I'm fascinated, but I am even more confused on what the books are going to do with the Carolina Panthers backfield, highlighted by the Chuba Hubbard question of over or under. Hubbard last year was really good. In 15 games, he finished 5 yards short of 1,200 yards. Chuba Hubbard, if you will remember, was one of my 7 favorite season-long player prop options. I don't know what's going on in this backfield. He's been more explosive as a receiver than a runner. There were 7 carries for Trevor Etienne out of nowhere. Rico Dowdle is starting to make inroads, but someone has to eat against the awful Dolphins jet run defense, I would think. We'll see if Tom Vecchio can give us some insight. He joins us next right here on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Ashton Genty, between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers. Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. Kevin Walsh here, joined now by Tom Vecchio. Tom did an excellent job last night helping us get underway with the baseball postseason, and we're going to check into the baseball postseason with Tom throughout our time here, but we're also going to get into some target player props as it is a Wednesday, Tom.
It is, pivotal time really in the NFL week, and if people aren't used to the cadence of NFL weekly, I don't know, like pivot points, or I guess you want to call it, getting the injury reports day by day is important, and seeing them on Wednesday, seeing them on Thursday, a player is doubtful, not practicing, limited. These are very, very important days and times when we get a look at what their offense is going to look like, and therefore what the props are going to look like for the upcoming games.
So I want to get right into the oars, Tom. And I'm going to start with the muddier one, which is the Carolina Panthers, right? Again, Tom has deep roots within the fantasy community, and I know this is something that they're all trying to probably figure out. Maybe one or two people were wondering if this could bubble before the season, but you get 28 carries, 26 running back carries, and they're spread out 10, 9, 7. Now, it was a blowout, so maybe it's nothing to see here. What do you make of Chuba Hubbard heading into a vulnerable Dolphins defense matchup?
It really is. So, it's tough to do these at times when it comes to player props because I have biases against players, or I just I think Chuba Hubbard is just kind of a league average back. There's nothing special about him. And that's just the reality of the situation. Some seasons he's under 4 yards per carry. Some seasons he's right above it. He does have an explosive nature to him. He's barely getting over 9, 10, 12, 14 for his longest run. He's really not doing that. When we look at the Panthers this season, their offensive line, they're 23rd in the league for stuffed run percentage allowed, which is absolutely terrible. But then you turn to Miami, and right now they're 26th in the league when it comes to EPA per rush allowed. So this is factually a great matchup for anyone going up against Miami when it comes to a rushing perspective. But the Carolina Panthers offensive line is not getting a clean push off of things and giving the running backs time. So it almost doesn't matter who's out there. They should have some level of success. The issue when it comes to a specific player prop is that if we are seeing multiple players with carries, albeit the blowout factor against the Pats muddied that, it's tough to say he's going to have 17 carries. And although he is personally inefficient, the matchup will still allow him to get over.
So I'm curious where they set that number, though that won't be a popular play in either direction.
It was Derek 55 last week. I was on under 55 for Hubbard last week. So it's going to be right around the same. If it's at 51, 59, 49, I'm not going to be surprised.
Tom, what do you think they do with Derrick Henry? 80s, 90s? I'm really usually with a star, Tom, I'll have a better feel. I don't know what they do here.
So Chris, our producer, sent me these players, the names ahead of time, and I'm trying to talk through it in my mind essentially. So when it comes to the Ravens, they are, first of all, the Ravens right now, in terms of their offensive line, they're 25th in stuff run percentage, which is absolutely terrible. Then we look to the Houston defense, and they're absolutely stout against the defense. They're terrible, against the run. When it comes to EPA per rush allowed, they're 20th. They're great EPA per pass, and you don't want to have the ball in Cooper Rush's hands. But Derrick Henry, as you said, the number has been so low because he's been falling under it. So what do the books do when you have a player who's in line to see more volume, but the offensive line is struggling? And also the game plan for the Ravens shouldn't be, hey, Cooper Rush, throw the ball 35 times. So I think it's going to be in the low 80s. I think that's what it really should be.
But that is what it's so odd because he's so explosive, obviously. We know this, he's a huge player, but he's very explosive. But one of the issues I have, Tom, is removing Lamar. Teams always want to stop the run against the Ravens, but it's hard when you have to account for the quarterback as much as you do. Yeah. The rush lanes can't be the same, right? But the attempts number, unless they're starting to get blown out. So here's the other problem. I know it's a 1.5-point number, and I'm trying not to be overreactionary. But if that defense, Tom, which is now as injured as possible, if the Texans come out firing and it's 14-0 early, Henry's just going to be on the sideline because the Ravens give up on their run game early.
They really do. And when it comes to the Texans offense, which has been terrible, and the Ravens defense, which has been terrible, this is like when a movable object meets a stoppable force. That's what we're dealing with when it comes to the situation. So I really don't know how to approach this. And again, Cooper Rush, when Snoop Huntley took over for Lamar in the past few years, dating back when he missed a bunch of games in 22 and 23, you could actually keep things the same because the offense would be operating the same way. But you can't do that when Cooper Rush is taking over. I think it's going to be a 17.5 attempt number for Henry.
Tom, George Pickens, I think it's a target under, assuming the books shoot this number up. I think this could be in the low 80s. Would you agree, or do you think that would be too far?
So Sunday night, it was 60 or 60 and a half, if I remember correctly. He goes for 114 in overtime. Seeing too much of a market correction would automatically have me playing the under. Basically, any player in kind of almost any situation. If it goes from 60 to 65, 68, whatever, I could talk myself into the over. But going from 60 to 80, 82, especially if there's market movement, there's just natural reason to take the under.
And Tom, he had 134 like. I think that number is going to be really, because you don't have Lamb.
Yeah,
like, you got to think about it too. Like, again, I'm saying under as well. But do you think they will move it that much or no?
60, mid 70s. It probably opens low 70s, and if it gets bet up, it will end in the upper 70s.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing. Like, that number you would think ticks up. The one thing to watch though is there is a potential for rain in the forecast.
Okay.
And if that becomes a big talking point, it will revert. It will come back the other way. So the timing of that one is going to be important. We're coming up against the break. We're going to keep Tom with us here. We do want to get into the baseball here, okay? Updates where we are right now in Yankees Red Sox. What's, of course, still to come in the game between the Reds and the Dodgers. With you right here is Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so. Right. Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. And you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We're in the bottom of the 5th of the Yankees and the Red Sox. We're on Game Time Decisions, joined by Tom Vecchio. Tom, Yanks, Red Sox, what were you expecting heading into this one? Where are you at right now in the live market?
It's kind of going as exactly as I anticipated. Like, one team was going to score, the other team would bounce back. I will say I was very surprised to see Brian Bayo pulled after 28 pitches it was. 24 pitches, I forget what it was, but like super short leash on him. Obviously, it worked out in that inning, but not something that you want to see if you're backing the Red Sox, knowing that their bullpen is going to be taxed today. It's going to be taxed, if we go to a Game 3. Obviously, it wasn't taxed yesterday with Crochet being awesome. I would still say under 7.5. The line jumped up. Obviously, you are paying a hefty price on that, so maybe you wait for it to say 6.5 and get better odds because it is 7.5 minus 174 to the under.
Yeah, I don't. These games, Tom, they're all trending under, right? You know, maybe there's a big inning. Like if you look at it for the Guardians, they score 6. It's like, oh wow, they only scored a run in the very first inning and the bottom of the 8th, right? You know, the rest of it, there's just nothing doing. So the timing of it is so important because it's going to be. It feels super boom or bust right now, the way these offenses are. Last night was the big boom, 15 runs, 10 of them for the Dodgers, 5 of them for the Cincinnati Reds. Where are you looking to get involved, if at all, in that game?
It would be a Dodgers team total. Like, I have no action on that game, but that's ultimately where I would look. And again, I think the Reds got to pull out all the stops. I don't think Zach Littell should be starting this game. I think it should be Andrew Abbott. I think it's just a mistake to have him out there. So I would look to Littell under strikeouts, like find something that's correlated, him under strikeouts, Dodgers team total over, Dodgers first 5 team total, like something along those lines that I think he gets blown up or whatever it might be. He gets pulled, therefore you start cashing some unders.
Yeah, I mean, the Littell stuff's very low. I do think that what happened with Dylan Cease today was a reminder of how some pitcher props can go in the postseason, where it's like, yeah, he's doing fine, but backs are against the wall, he's getting pulled, don't care, going to the bullpen. And
happened with Bayo.
Yeah, I guess the difference, though, Tom, is Bayo had given up multiple hits, multiple runs. Like Dylan Cease was pulled with no earned runs, 2 outs, and a man on second base. And Dylan Cease is a more pedigree pitcher than Bayo. I know there's some underlying stuff for Cease that can be tricky, but like that's my only thing. You know, again, but yes, the Bayo stuff is true, right? They don't pull Brian Bayo if this was a May game, obviously. I got to tell you, one thing for me, Tom, that really stood out from game number 1 is rightfully there's so much talk about Judge's performances, and there should be. But Ohtani last year, I mean, he ended up batting around 240 in the postseason. And for Ohtani, that is below the level. Now, he was hitting around 275, 277 before he had the injury in the World Series, game number 2. Did that factor in? Maybe. He comes out, goes 2 home runs, 1 in the first, which is how you set the tone. I think it's on the board that Ohtani has that special postseason. Because, I mean, and when he gets hot, again, he feels like a homer every game. That's really how he feels. That game, like, I know you don't want to overreact to one game when it's against the Reds, who, barely snuck in, but, like, I'm wondering if Ohtani's just going to be every game. It feels like he's giving you 3+ hit run RBI, for example.
So the answer is to play Ohtani World Series MVP right now at 11-1, because that number is going to plummet as the Dodgers move on. And let's draw a correlation. Special season for him, he's going to win MVP. Like, we may not, I know we're kind of on the same page with that, but he's going to win MVP. And then he goes on to win World Series MVP. Like, it's kind of written there. It's like the same thing that SGA did. It's just like, he's the best player. They win, he wins. It's like it's that simple sometimes. Like, it would require like a Tommy Edman.
But so that's my only problem, Tom, is just the way baseball is set up. He lost out to Tommy Edman for an NLCS MVP, and obviously he didn't have a chance with what Freeman did. Like, baseball is that sport where things can get wild, and it makes for a lot of fun. Tom, we appreciate it. We will be checking in throughout the week, throughout the baseball playoffs. As always, Tom Vecchio, we're back with you right here. Game Time Decisions. What are we doing with Dylan Gabriel and the Browns? We'll talk about it next.
Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there. But the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. And you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Back in a big way. Back in the biggest way. Some are saying, I'm hearing it across the board. Here's a reality, folks. All right? We'll go super behind the curtain. There's not even really a curtain anymore. I got the game here, all right? Because we got to watch. We got to be involved. But I'm behind. So I was just running around. We were in there. We were rooting. Here's the thing. I'm going to be betting Aaron Judge this whole postseason. All of the numbers are depressed because they're the playoffs. And runs are harder to come by. So game number 1 for 2+ hit run RBI, Judge is -125. Played it. He had a multi-hit game. Great. Today it was -127. It got shot up to -139. This is, by the way, if you like hit run RBIs, consistently DK seems to be the cheapest of the options. That's what I see. Okay. Other books were at like -160 or so. So be it. So I said, you know what? We won yesterday. Let's keep going. Let's go 3+. Aaron Judge with a base hit. Nearly a great play by, I think, Jarren Duran in the outfield. Couldn't make it. Scores Grisham. Judge now with his second multi-hit game in as many games for this postseason. And I'm going to try to not get ahead of myself, but I believe that Aaron Judge was on pace for undeniably the best season of his career. And I think there is still an argument that is what we just saw during this regular season. And I felt that because the batting average was so good and so consistent that I felt Judge would absolutely stay hot in the playoffs. If he didn't, it was going to be the black mark. If this guy goes from hitting .330 in the regular season to .230 in the postseason, there's nothing else you can say. Well, Judge is now 4 for 7 with an RBI, and the RBI that just gave the Yankees the lead in the bottom of the 5th inning. It's not, by the way, a good wild card round. It's not going to rewrite it all for all of time, but sometimes it just takes one run. Clayton Kershaw really just had one run with the Dodgers, and I don't feel like we talk about those struggles as much as we once did. Barry Bonds really only had one great postseason run. Now, it was great. I mean, it was great, but really just the one. So for Judge, and I think it is okay to zero in on the player, right? Like, I know for Sounds like, oh, this isn't about just Aaron Judge. This is the Yankees. This is the Yankees versus the Red Sox. Aaron Judge is a stand the test of time kind of guy. That's a legacy guy. There's not a lot of legacy guys in baseball, right? The NBA's flooded with them, the NFL. Like, that is how we have those conversations so frequently. In baseball, how many legacy guys do you have? Judge, Ohtani. Is that the list? Legacies are written for Kershaw and Scherzer and Verlander, right? Trout, it just hasn't been in the postseason, right? Like, I don't think the jury is still out on what that's going to be. Soto, I think you can throw out there, but like Tatis isn't that. Lindor isn't that. Is Bryce Harper that? If the Phillies win this World Series, maybe that does change that conversation, but Judge is definitively, decidedly. And it's a part of the betting market. It's trying to figure out how you want to, are you backing Judge or are you fading Judge? I am sure there are people who have been playing Judge unders, right? Thinking to themselves, it's the playoffs. He's not going to step up. He's not going to meet the level. Well, he's hitting .571 right now. He's stepping up and he's meeting the level. Yankees are in front, 3-2. Live right now, a 7.5 total, -320 on the New York Yankees. They are laying a 1.5, but at +154 at this moment. Again, that obviously will vary, tick, juice, book to book, but that's where things are set up. We have Dodgers, Reds still to come, but there were just a couple of pieces of NFL news that we wanted to get to. Markets are moving, so let's just try and run through these as we can. Tomorrow is Rams-Niners. Very excited to be here on a Thursday night to break down some Thursday night football, start week 5 of the NFL season. The Niners are going to be tempting to me, but I have to really step back and figure out how much all of these injuries matter to a point spread, because there are a lot of them. This is a team that I faded last week in the 49ers with the Jags, and it ended up being a comfortable fade. Is this a team who, despite not only starting 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the number, could be in for some trouble with all these injuries? It's absolutely on the board. No Pearsall, no Jennings, no Purdy, no Kittle, no Bosa. Some of those we knew, some of those we didn't, but the number of key guys missing this game is incredible. After that game, the next NFL game we'll watch will be overseas. It'll be the Browns and the Vikings, and Dillon Gabriel getting the start. Do I think that Dillon Gabriel's Week 4 performance will be better than Joe Flacco's Week 4 performance? Maybe. I'm not positive of that. But I feel pretty strongly that Week 4 Joe Flacco is going to be better than Week 1 Dillon Gabriel. First NFL career start, and it's overseas against a team who's already been overseas and is right now the number 1 pass defense in the league. Like, that is remarkable to me that this number is not moved against Dillon Gabriel getting this start. I know Flacco's been bad. I do not trust Dillon Gabriel in this spot. Lamar Jackson likely out, books clearly expecting it. A 1.5 point spread for Baltimore at home with a plus in front of it. I think there will be people who look to step up and bet the Ravens. I will say this, and we spoke to Brady yesterday, and you guys know I massively respect Brady's opinion. I don't think I would look to tease the Ravens. I think this could get ugly. Like, the awful defense is still awful and more injured than the week prior, and now Lamar is out. And they're playing, like, if they were playing the Dolphins, who are a terrible defense, right? I think that would feel much better than the Texans, who are an incredible defense. Where if the Ravens don't get to 17 in this game, who's stunned by that? Not me. Well, that defense is giving up over 30 a game. I've not made a play yet. We've talked about Derrick Henry and our target player props. I think it's an interesting one. I think it's one to follow. There are a number of lines flipping out there, moving around. Seattle is sitting up to now 3.5 in a lot of spots. We're going to talk to Cam Stewart here in just a little bit. Little golf, little NFL, little baseball. Interested to see what Cam maybe thinks about that spot. We've talked about Detroit flipping to double-digit faves on the road. Now, flash that up there. Hold on, flash that up there, Seahawks Bucks. Look at this. Look at this. Throwback week in Seattle. The love and excitement for these jerseys, these helmets. Everybody's loving what they're seeing in Seattle, Tampa Bay. Everybody is pumped up. Everybody's pumped up. Eagles numbers been moving around against Denver. Colts, I've seen up to 7 in spots against the Raiders. We have a lot to work through, a lot of ugliness. We do have an update for you on the baseball board. Carlos Rodon gets the start in the 6th. Gives up a solo shot to Trevor Story. Follows it with a walk. Looks like he's being pulled out of this game right now. No, it looks like Aaron Boone's just going to go talk to him. What do you think he's going to say? Hey, Carlos, got to be honest. Every decision I make's not going great. You want to make this decision for me? Do you want to stay or no? Looks like Carlos Rodon wants to stay. I want you to stay right here with us. After the break, we're joined by our guy, Cam Stewart. Talk a little golf, little football, little baseball, and who knows what else. That's next. We're live on SportsGrid's Game Time Decisions.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for 2, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It's put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid, Kevin Walsh with you. Let's get right to it. Cam Stewart joins the show. You can catch Cam here across the SportsGrid network. Does a lot of things along with following the golf world as close as any. And Cam, I know we're a little far removed, but I'll bring it up one final time. That Ryder Cup, look, albeit not super familiar with how all the rules work, I'm still not entirely sure how the U.S. managed to be down by that much and then have that good of a Sunday. They seem to really...
They do it all the time, though. Kevin, let me tell you something how to bet the Ryder Cup. You bet Europe, opening force, you know what I mean? You take them first session, you take them first day, you lean to them second day, and you smash the American singles on Sunday. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah,
It's that all the time. Like the America almost came back and won. But Kevin, if you watch the SportsGrid television network, what was the pick? Hey, I used to buy Tommy Fleetwood. Most points, most European points, 6-1. We hit that. And Cam Young, top American rookie. We did really, really well with the Ryder Cup. It got crazy at the end. And people need to settle down, too. Like, don't go after people's wives and stuff. I get it. It's emotional. But, guys, show a little class on both sides, please. Like, it's just out of control, this stuff. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, it seemed weird. It seemed like one of those things, Cam, where someone was like, hey, we need you to be rowdy because you're allowed to be rowdy. And then they were like, I don't know how to do it. What if we, cross the line? It's like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, let's just stay up off, Rory. Like, at least at the tournament, the waste management, you're just wasted before the Super Bowl. It's tradition, right? And they're legitimately drinking from they wake up in the morning. I got to tell you, Kev, nervous times in the Walsh house. I'm watching your dad's probably downstairs in the lair watching the Yankees. I don't even want to text George Kurtz. He's probably flipping out, too. This series is, wow, what a game.
Yeah, listen, it's definitely. I was on you'll love this. I was on the phone with my mom last night during that 9th inning, and they kept getting the hits, and I'm like, you can't hang up. And then they got 2 out. She's like, I gotta go. I can't do this. Like she pins and needles the whole thing. So hey, listen, that's how it is. Cam, I want to make sure we do this though because the Sanderson Farms this week, there's still golf. If people have that Ryder Cup high, they want to get involved here. And there's a couple of names. Look, it's not Scotty, it's not Shoffley, but we know Akshay, we know Thornbortson, we know Minwoo Lee. We know these guys a little bit. Who are you looking at here at the Sanderson's Farms?
I actually think getting Minwoo Lee in this field at 22-1 is outstanding. I'm looking at the British tournament like he would be at the same price, and this is in a weaker field. Michael Thorbjornsen went to Stanford, and I'm telling you, Walsh, he's really, really close at 25-1. He makes the list. Garrett Higo, the lefty from South Africa, perfect player for this type of track. It's all about accuracy with the irons, par 4 scoring. And I got the cooties. Pearson Coody at 90-1. I'm adding one. I did a show today. Mackenzie Hughes. I did some deep diving. Kev, he's won the tournament before the Canadian. He has one of the best records in the silly season. These 6 tournaments after the Ryder Cup, like these ones where you got to make points before we get to the real golf. This guy does well. Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian, 55-1. I added on the card. I got some top 20s for you. Rico Hoey, the best Filipino player in the world. Great guy. He's very close to winning. I can't believe I'm getting plus 160 for a top 20. He's in top 20 with fields of like Scheffler and Schauffele and the best in the world. So I'll take him. Mackenzie Hughes, as I mentioned, plus 180. Max Homa. I want to be there when he gets it back. He's one of my favorite golfers. Good guy, cool dude at plus 180. I think he is going to get it back. I think he'll be in contention. And Luke Clinton, one of the more talented players in the field, plus 180. These are great prices, Walsh, for top 20s. Absolutely. $160 is the lowest price.
Yeah, those are some really nice numbers. Those are, as you said, Cam, some names who have performed in big fields, so perhaps can take advantage here. Cam, let me ask you about this late-night game, the Dodgers and the Reds. If you were looking for runs, that's where you had to go yesterday to find them. 15 total, more than the other 3 games combined, I actually think. Are you playing that game tonight with the Dodgers and Cincy?
I am. I'm taking the run line on the Dodgers. Their team total also, Kev, is 4.5 if you want to play it that way. I think they probably get about 6 or 7 tonight. So that's why I do like the over in the game. The Dodgers, they scored 10. They're getting hot. Gabe and I talked about it. Like, this team is built for the playoffs. No offense. Huge pitching mismatch in tonight's game as well for the Dodgers. Ohtani's on fire. Teoscar Hernandez is on fire for the Dodgers too. So these are things that I like. Also, I have a couple props, Kev. I'm going to take Yamamoto over 6.5 strikeouts in the game. I like the over 7.5 in the game. Dodgers run line -1.5. This is a good one though for Cincinnati. Steer 1+ base is only -120. He's the guy that did damage for them in the last game. That's what I'm taking. And Yamamoto over 6.5 strikeouts. It's a little bit juicy at -140, but I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I think Yamamoto ended really strong in that regular season. I think he's one to watch. I know Snell's got pedigree, and he had himself a really nice game, number 1, but I think Yamamoto has the potential to be that game-to-game horse for this team that they trust and they lean on, go 7, go 8. Snell, I think yesterday, that was the deepest he had gone in a postseason game, right, Cam? So I think Yamamoto could be the one they really lean on. Again, we expect them to get through this series. But you're talking the Phillies, you're talking an NLCS, a World Series. They're going to need Yamamoto to be great.
Oh, you're telling me. And his strikeout, Kev, take a look at the numbers. Like, in his last starts, like, he's like 7, 10, 12. Like, he's one of these guys that's, like, hitting his number all the time. So 6.5 with juice to me is something that I really, really like. And I'm really proud of the Reds, and I had a bet for them to make the playoffs. So I'm very, very happy, but they're just outclassed. The Dodgers are that good. And when the Dodgers get it all together, watch out. They're the best team in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a confidence that they're going to walk into with any series. I'll tell you, though, the one team, Cam, that I think sees the Dodgers and goes, that doesn't bother us at all, is the Phillies. If you remember, the Phillies were the first team that beat them last year, went to Dodger Stadium, gave them the business, won themselves the division in that stadium. Like, I think the Dodgers, I'm not saying they're scared of Philadelphia, but you're not telling me that the Phillies are scared of the Dodgers.
No, they're not. They're not scared of the Dodgers, but I think the Dodgers are just a little bit better than the Phillies, especially with the front-end pitching. We'll see what happens, though, Kev. The Phillies can rake, right? So it's going to be classic, whatever happens. Either Boston, Yankees, and Toronto. That's amazing. Phillies and Dodgers, that would be, I can't wait. I love playoff baseball, man. I'm so jacked that the Jays are there, and, yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, I know we have 1 segment left, but there was just 1 or 2 NFL games I wanted to ask Cam about. Cam, if you could just stick around, I want to ask you on the other side. We're going to button this whole thing up here on a Wednesday night before In-Game Live gets rolling with live coverage of the baseball postseason on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for 2, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-Game Live, only on SportsGrid.
To put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, Game Time Decisions with you here on this Wednesday night. Up next is In-Game Live, which will be led by Scott Wetzel and Cam Stewart. So we have Cam with us
Gabe
right
Morenski.
now.
Yep,
It's a trio.
I'm the co-host. No, Wetzel's off.
Wetzel's out. Wetzel skipped town. Wow.
Yeah, whatever. I know he does. I know ladies basketball games.
I should have known.
Something.
I should have known there was no way Gabe was going to miss out. It would be more likely that Gabe would host that game in Dodger Stadium. Like, he would pull it up on his phone, and he'd be like, all right, guys, we're live in this segment. He'd be in the stands. So it's going to be Cam and Gabe. Cam, I just wanted to get some early thoughts from you. NFL sides, what is sticking out here for Week 5?
Week 5, I'm looking at some interesting games. This Baltimore Ravens line now is a dog. I'm probably going to take them. One game that I'm leaning forward to, Kevin, I might take the Denver Broncos plus 4.5 against your Eagles. It might be a spot for them. I'm also looking at the Washington Commanders as a small 2.5-point dog. And call me crazy, Kev. This is what I do. I look in the dumpster and find gold. Johnny Jaguar's been pretty good. I think they can get that 3.5 with the Chefs, and I'm going to take Jacksonville. They've been playing pretty good football. They schooled the Niners.
They sure did, Cam. They sure did. I actually, I liked them in that spot. I was glad they got it done. That was a really big win for Jacksonville. I think this is going to be a really fun week. A lot of hype around your game too, Cam, with that Seahawks-Bucks uniform matchup.
Oh, I'm telling you, I love it. The throwbacks, John McKay and the old Seahawks, ground chuck. I can't wait. Oh, God, when the Seahawks and Bucks came in the league of the same year, beautiful uniforms. Look at that. It's just gorgeous. Oof. I love the nostalgia. I like the Seahawks this week. I think Tampa Bay is going to be a pretty dangerous dog, but I'm telling you, Seattle's playing good football right now, and they need a vintage home win. Give me the Seahawks.
All right, there we go. Some love for Seattle there. Makes sense. A lot of love. I'm starting to see some people give that team a lot of respect because Darnold's playing well, defense is playing well. Mike McDonald, yep. I think everybody agrees, pretty strong coach. Cam, really appreciate it. We'll talk again next week. In-game live, Cam and Gabe will be live.
You got it, Kev. Have a good one, and tell your dad don't stress out. We got a lot of baseball left. Later.
I'll tell you. You know what? He'll appreciate this, I think. My mom's worried about the Yankees winning the game, and part of it is because she's worried about my dad, like in his sleep, being like, "Yankees can't get the job done." Like, I think he's like sleep breaking down the games, and I don't blame him. These games are stressful. Like, I know I'm an hour behind everybody, so this game's like in the 9th inning. But I'm seeing a 3-2, 2 on, 2 out for Anthony Volpe. And he proceeded to give you one of the least competitive swings. God. I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect? Who's upset about it? I'm not. It's fun. It's fine. It's all good. There's nothing to be upset about. Aaron Judge has 3+ here on RBI. Everything's fine. Everything's absolutely fine. Tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow we're going to be back here. We're going to go maybe a Game 3, Yankees-Red Sox. We definitely have Game 3s between the Guardians, Tigers, Cubs, and Padres. Maybe we get an upset center tonight, Dodgers-Reds. We've talked about this Ohtani postseason pop that I feel is incredibly on the board. And he goes tonight against Zach Littell, who's actually struggled a little bit more against righties this year, which is just doesn't really bode well for the matchup. The one thing I would say is I don't think Zach Littell is being sent out there to pitch for very long in this game. Do they have an outs? Let me see this quickly. Do we have an outs recorded for Zach Littell? We got the guys in the back working on that before we get out of here, because I actually think that could be a pretty 8.5. Now, come on. This guy can't see. I go into it thinking I'm going to bet the under. They don't think he's going to get 3 innings of work. You can't start this guy if you're not going to let him get 3 innings. I'm not touching this thing. I'm not. I kind of like it, though. Can this guy, Zach Littell, can we get cheaper than -140 on Zach Littell? Let's see. So FD doesn't. Can we look around here? Let's do a mad dash before we get out of here. Am I nuts? You don't think this guy goes 3 innings? Give me Casino Chris in the back, in my ear. Give me the projected stat line for you on Zach Littell. This kid goes 2 2/3. I got to bet it now. I got to sign up for this pain. Ooh, this number's 9.5 in other places. That's a huge difference. I think we got to play this 8.5. Great, we're on Zach Littell 3 innings watch. In-game live is next.